this reading, the Ramban reveals a secret, a very important secret. And this verse, which says tzedek tirdof, you have to chase after justice. He gives first, as he often does, a commentary, an explanation based on the literal understanding, the pshat. And then he says, Aval b'midrasho shel Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana. We know that Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana, who is the author of the Ana B'Koach, he also wrote a book of Kabbalistic secrets, which is called the Bahir. And the Ramban is quoting from that book of Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana, and he says, b'midrasho shel Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana yidreshu b'sod. There's a secret that they explain based on this verse. And what is it? Amru, and this is in the Bahir from section 74 and section 75. Amru tzedek zu midat dino shel olam. When it says tzedek, the word tzedek literally translated as justice, but it means the rule of justice of this world. It's not justice in the physical world, but it's referring to the judgment, the din, that of course the individual awakens upon himself when he does negative actions, and the world as a whole awakens upon it through the general negativity that the world goes through. Tzedek zu midat dino shel olam. So what the Torah is referring to here is the judgment that exists over the individual or over the world. Uchtiv batrei leman tichye v'yarashta et haaretz. And later it says, in the end of the verse, if you run after this tzedek, and we have to understand what that means, but if you run after the judgment of the world, then you will merit life. And therefore, again, Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana says in the Bahir, therefore the end of the verse is leman tichye. If you want life, if you want to merit life, make sure you're tzedek tirdof, that you're running after. You have to understand what this means. It's a very important secret. If you're running after the midat dino shel olam, if you're running after the judgment of this world, then tichyeh, then you will live. Im tadin atzmecha, if you judge yourself, tichyeh. If you judge yourself, and to the degree that you judge yourself, then you are alive, you will merit life. Im lav, if you do not judge, certainly if you do not judge enough, hu yadin alecha v'tekayem bal kochecha. Then the judgment chas v'shalom will come upon you, and you will have to cleanse it forcefully. So first we'll understand again this secret that the Ramban Nachmanides is quoting from the Bahir, from the book of Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana. Again, it says, tzedek tirdof, if you push yourself to judge yourself, and through that you in some way diminish the judgment that exists over this world and over you, then tichyeh, then you will draw to yourself life. But if not, then it says, bal kochacha yitkayem, the judgment will be forced, chas v'shalom, upon you, and the judgment will come and manifest. This secret can be understood by a section in the Midrash that says, and if we can remember this, we will not stop doing Tshuva in this month. It says in the Midrash, Im yesh din lemata, ein din lemala. If there is judgment in the lower world, in this physical world, then there is no judgment that comes from the upper world. Im ein din lemata, if there is no judgment in the lower world, yesh din lemala, then there is judgment from the upper worlds. So, most of us know, we come to the month of Elul, we have to do Tshuva. Why? Because we want to cleanse ourselves from negativity that we've done, so that our vessel is perfected as we come to Elul, to Tishrei, to Rosh Hashanah. But there's a much more important reason why not only do we have to do Tshuva, we have to be constantly doing Tshuva, and we have to be pushing ourselves into deeper levels of Tshuva. We spoke a few months ago about the concept of Ketz Sam Lachoshech, that there is a limited amount of reservoir of negativity, of darkness, chas v'shalom, that can come onto the individual. Who creates that reservoir? We know, our negative actions. When we do a negative action, we create that source of negativity. That has to become manifest. That reservoir that each one of us has, as they say right in the songs, right, there's a black cloud hanging over me. Every one of us has a black cloud hanging over them. And the world in general has a black cloud hanging over them. That's going to manifest, as the Ramban says. Tzedek tirdo, but you have the choice. Either, as Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana says in the Bahir, either you are forced to manifest that judgment, or you manifest it yourself, and then it doesn't have any more energy to manifest. When the individual goes through the process of Tshuva, let's assume the individual, just to use a number, he has 10 aspects or 10 measures of judgment that he has created. Every time that he looks into himself and finds more, remembers more, goes deeper and finds more of negativity, of things that he has to transform, he takes from that reservoir of judgment and he uses it up. He does it again, he takes another aspect of that judgment and he uses it up. The process of Tshuva and the process of judging oneself isn't just an important process to become a better person or to perfect our vessel. What it actually does is it uses up the reservoir of judgment that Chas v'Shalom is meant to come down on the individual. And that's the secret that the Ramban Nachmanides and Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana in the Bahir want to teach us. Now we can understand it. Tzedek tirdof, if you run after the judgment, which means you pushing yourself deeper and deeper ways to bring a din lemata, to bring judgment upon yourself, which means you are judging yourself and you're finding greater and greater degrees and greater levels that you have done wrong, then din lemata, if there is judgment awakened down here by you, by the individual, ein din lemala. There is no more energy of judgment in the upper world. But to the degree that ein din lemata, to the degree that the individual is not pushing himself to find more and more and more and more, he's only, let's say, found one aspect, 1/10 of his negativity, he leaves 9/10 energy of judgment in the upper world. And then as it says in the Bahir, that's going to manifest Chas v'Shalom in the person's life. So we have the choice, and if you understand, it's an unbelievable gift. Judge yourself harshly in this month. Why? Because if you continue to judge yourself again and again, and you find more and more and more and more, then you're taking away from that cloud of judgment in the upper world. There's no more judgment in the upper world that can manifest. And that's our choice. If there's judgment in this world, there's no judgment in the upper world. There's no energy of judgment left in the upper world. If there is no judgment in the lower world, there's energy of judgment in the upper world. And again, it's important to understand this in very actual terms. Some of us, most of us, go to a certain point of Tshuva, hopefully, right? But we're probably stopping, 9/10 short, 8/10 short? It's dangerous. It's not just that you're not doing the month of Elul right, or you're not going through the process of Tshuva right. If you leave that judgment hanging, which means that there's a reservoir of judgment and you're not using it up, Chas v'Shalom, it will manifest in your life. And that's the choice that we have in this month of Elul. And only in the month of Elul are we given the power through the process of Tshuva to finish completely all that energy of judgment. And therefore, any person who stops Tshuva, and we all do, for whatever reason, for whatever silly reasons, but we have to understand now the danger of stopping to the degrees of Tshuva. Because to the degree that the individual stops, does not look deeper and deeper and deeper, he leaves that energy of judgment in the upper world, and it will, Chas v'Shalom, manifest in this world. If we can remember, one of the great teachings of this Shabbat, Im yesh din lemata ein din lemala. If there is judgment in this world, and to the degree that there is judgment in this world, there is no judgment, there is no energy of judgment that can manifest in that person's life. Chas v'Shalom, im ein din lemata, that the individual, and to the degree that the individual is not pursuing judgment in this month, yesh din lemala, he leaves that energy of judgment in the upper world, and it will manifest. And we'll read these words again from the Ramban, quoting Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana, the Bahir. Yesh bo yidreshu b'sod. The Ramban says, what is the secret of the verse? Tzedek tirdof. And that's why you understand why it says you run after the judgment of yourself. Now we understand. Because, and this is, there are many stories like this, but even if you can't find, force yourself to find. Run after ways to find negativity within you this month. Because every aspect of negativity you find takes away from that reservoir of judgment that Chas v'Shalom is going to manifest in your life. Tzedek tirdof. The Ramban quotes the Bahir. Zumidat dino shel olam. It is the judgment ready to come down into this world. Im tadin atzmecha tichyeh. If you push yourself, tirdof, you run after the Tshuva. How many of us, it's hard to judge. You're not supposed to judge in Elul, but my sense is that most of us are trying to do Tshuva. But how many of us are running after the process of Tshuva? And probably because we're not scared enough. And hopefully this secret from the Ramban and the Bahir will awaken within us the appreciation for why it's so necessary not just to do tshuva, to push yourself to do tshuva, to run after the process of tshuva. Im tadin atzmecha tichyeh. If you judge yourself again and again, to the degree that you judge yourself in this month and you find one after the other, then you will draw to yourself life, because no force of death, no force of judgment is left in the upper worlds. Im lav, but chas v'shalom, if not, hu yadin alecha v'tekayem bal kochecha. The judgment will forcefully be forced upon you, and it will manifest against your wishes. It's a tremendous secret. Again, it's a tremendous secret that I hope not just to understand, that we truly come to feel. We truly come to feel. It's one of the gifts of the Shabbat. I wanted to share a story. And again, and the reason is, as I was reading this, it's not so much the story itself, although there are 5 important teachings from this story, but it's more to, as I read this story, and I hope as we hear this story, it awakens within us a greater affinity with a desire to truly go through the process of tshuva. It says in this week's parasha, Tamim tiyeh im Hashem Elokecha, that the individual needs to be simple in his relationship with the light of the Creator, really simple in his life. And they bring a story. Ki pa'am achat b'yimei tshuva. Once during the time of Elul, the time of the Tshuva is awakened in this world, kad havayativ harav tzaddik, when the great soul, the great Kabbalist, Rav Zusha of Anapoli, was sitting with his students. He was sitting in his chair. V'chol ha'am omdim alav min haboker ad ha'erev. And people would come to him for prayers, for blessings. וישב בהתאבקות המוחין להשם יתברך, מופשט מכל מחשבות גשמיות כדרכו בקודש. And he was sitting there in his chair. Rav Zusha was not in this world, completely in unification with the light of the Creator. והנה אחד מתלמידיו נתעורר בו הרהור תשובה. And as Rav Zusha was standing there in dvekut, was sitting there in dvekut, in complete unification with the light of the Creator, one of the students became awakened to his own process of tshuva, to things that he had done wrong, things that he had remembered doing wrong. V'zalgu einav d'maot. He began crying. The student began crying. V'chasher ra'u acherim v'hevinu zot. And when the other students are, as they're sitting there, and again, Rav Zusha is sitting there in unification with the light of the Creator, and one of the students begins thinking about the process of tshuva, he begins crying, and the other students see this, they feel this. The other students became awakened to the process of tshuva by feeling the tshuva that was awakened, the understanding of the need for tshuva that was awakened by one of the students. And all the students suddenly became awakened, truly awakened. And this is, again, the reason I want to read the story is not so much for the teaching which will come, but this sense, this light, this energy of truly awakening the process of tshuva that happened there with Rav Zusha and his students. They all became awakened. It started with one student, and to another, so that all the students sitting around Rav Zusha at that time awakened the light, the desire to go through the process of tshuva. And when Rav Zusha saw this, that the students were all becoming awakened to the process of tshuva, Rav Zusha looked up to the heavens, and he said to the Creator, Ribono shel olam, Master of the world, certainly now is the time to do tshuva. But Rav Zusha said to the Creator, said, but you know that I don't have the strength to truly do tshuva. And this is another aspect to understand. I think the only time we'll know, any of us will know, that we're truly going through the process of tshuva is when we come to a point where we're overwhelmed and we believe we can't do tshuva. I think most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, we think, oh yeah, it's difficult, or I need to take the time, but I can do it. Rav Zusha understood truly what the process of tshuva was. And he said to the Creator, he says, you know that I don't have the strength, I don't have the power to do tshuva. Ela ma yachol zusha la'asot. He says, he's speaking to the Creator. Zusha says, what can I do? Ya'aleh lecha ha'otiyot shel tshuva. I can connect to the letters, the 5 letters of tshuva. That the 5 letters of tshuva, Tav, Shin, Vav, Bet, Hey, they are the Rashei Tevot. They are an acronym to 5 teachings, 5 tools that we need to become awakened to truly be able to come to the process of tshuva. And in this case, Rav Zusha is saying, although I can't do tshuva, let these 5 aspects that I can do, which are the Rashei Tevot, the acronym for tshuva, let that be instead of my tshuva that I can't do. What are the 5 aspects? What are the 5 teachings? The first Taf is Romez Tamim Tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. Simplicity. You can't do tshuva unless you are deepening your simplicity in your connection to the light of the Creator in your life in this world. Hashin, the Shin represents Shiviti Hashem Lenegdi Tamid. Having a constant awareness of the light of the Creator in front of you. And we'll learn exactly what that means. It's a very important teaching. But that's the second. That's the Shin. Havav, the Vav of Tshuva, Romez ve'ahavta le'racha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. You can't do tshuva if you're not deepening your love for the other. Habet, the bet of tshuva, Romez bechol derachecha da'eu, v'hu yasher orchotecha. That you have to draw the light of the Creator in everything that you do. In everything that you do. And then He, the light of the Creator, will straighten your ways. Ha'hei romez hatznei alechet im elokecha. And the hey of tshuva, the final hey, represents the desire to hide, to be hidden, to not be known, to not be acknowledged. Zot yavod lechazusha. This is the only work that I can do, Rav Zusha said. So, again, as I said, 2 reasons why I want to mention the story. One, I hope that as we hear the story, it gives us not sort of in an intellectual way, but in a true way, an awakening for the true process of tshuva. But the second is the teaching that Rav Zusha is giving to us, that if your tshuva is not included in these 5 aspects, tamim tiyeh, deepening your simplicity in the way you interact with the Creator and in your life. You are shiviti Hashem negdi tamid, deepening your consciousness of the light of the Creator in your life always. Vav is ve'ahavta le'racha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Bet bechol derachecha da'eu, in everything that you do, bring in the light of the Creator. And hey is hatznei alechet im Hashem Elokecha, to hide, to conceal, desire not to be acknowledged. And the position is saying, I might not have the strength to do tshuva, but I have the strength to do these 5 aspects of tshuva, and let that be my tshuva. So the second teaching we learned from Rav Zusha is the fact that if we're doing tshuva right, we need to be overwhelmed by it. And the only reason we are not being shown the overwhelming nature of the tshuva that each one of us has to do is because we're not doing it right. And one of the gifts that we have to ask for in this Elul, in this Shabbat, is to truly be shown how difficult of a work of tshuva that we have to do. But the third aspect which I wanted to focus on, 2 teachings. Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid, to have the consciousness of the light of the Creator with us always, and bringing the light of the Creator, bechol derachecha da'eu, bringing and injecting the light of the Creator in everything that we do. Those 2 teachings have the power to truly transform our tshuva. There's a teaching from Rabbi Yitzchak Avarka, and he says, the first verse of this week's parasha, Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha bechol she'arecha. Judges and policemen you should put in all of your gates, Asher Hashem Elokecha noten lech, that the Creator gives to you. He says, Shetafim el libcha. How do you do tshuva? What is the greatest way to do tshuva? Is if you are truly able to awaken the consciousness. Shekol hakoach v'hachiyut asher becha, that all the life force and all the ability to do anything, to see, to hear, to speak, to eat, to move. What's the purpose of tshuva? the true purpose of Tshuva and what's the gift of this Shabbat? Asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach. To come to the true understanding. Understanding is the wrong word. True consciousness, true constant consciousness that every life force that I have, every ability that I have is only being given to me from the Creator. It is not mine. And we speak about this often, but I am sure that none of us truly live this. And in the month of Elul, it's very important that we take the time to truly awaken this thought.